Uncut Gems may be the most hectic, viscerally discomforting, anxiety-inducing theater experience of my life. Adam Sandler's Howard Ratner managed to make wrong decisions faster than I could realize there was even a bad decision to be made. In the process, he became one of the most captivating protagonists of 2010 cinema. To me, Uncut Gems is an absolute masterpiece. And I'm excited to report that Marty Supreme, which stars Timothée Chalamet and comes from Josh Safdie, one of the Uncut Gems Safdie Brothers directing duo, shares much of the same DNA of that film. If you're looking for the spiritual sequel, The Casino, to Uncut Gems Goodfellas, you'll probably find it in a ping pong savant played by Timothée Chalamet. I'm Michael Calabro, and this is my review of Marty Supreme.
And what do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work out?
That doesn't even enter my consciousness.
Maybe it should.
The film follows Marty Mauser, a persuasive shoe salesman stuck working for his uncle who thinks that table tennis could be his way out of Manhattan's Lower East Side. Marty's unassailable self-confidence will obviously be put to the test when it comes to ping pong.
And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
But the film's true impact, its most memorable moments, come from testing Marty's confidence away from the table as he's forced to scheme, hustle, and charm his way into competitions. A lot happens in between all the ping pong. It happens fast, and a lot of the time, it comes out of nowhere. Trust me, you don't want to know a lot about it going in. But if you like movies like The Color of Money and Catch Me If You Can, good. Josh Safdie, who in addition to directing co-wrote with Ronald Bronstein, pulls familiar elements from those films as well as Uncut Gems to paint a portrait of ambition under pressure that is genuinely fun to watch but doesn't lose that cinematic brand of stress the filmmaker has become known for.
Just watch the shit off your face, you know? Right.
Marty Supreme is a film that's doing great work on all fronts, but it starts with Timothée Chalamet, who is a clear contender for all this year's Best Actor awards.
You know I'm something of a performer too.
Are you?
Yeah, you don't believe me?
This is you?
Yeah, the chosen one. It's a nice picture, right?
Chalamet is completely mesmerizing as Marty Mauser. The character's tendency to use his razor-sharp wit to talk his way out of corners isn't dissimilar to Uncut Gems' Howard Ratner, where Howard's frequent bad decisions drive Uncut Gems' plot forward at the cost of audiences' empathy. Marty is a much more sympathetic character. He may not always make the righteous decision, but he does it with an affability reminiscent of Paul Newman or Robert Redford in a 70s crime movie. There's a moment early in the film where the press is interviewing Marty about his opponent in an upcoming match, and Marty says, "I'll do to him what Auschwitz did him." There was a huge gasp in the theater when I saw it, followed quickly by a, "It's okay if I say it, I'm Jewish," which got a huge laugh. That kind of outrageous claim is part of Marty's charm and is also a testament to Chalamet's on-screen charisma. It takes a lot of confidence to pull off a line like that, and it isn't the only time Marty drops that kind of conversational bomb in the film. But this is a Josh Safdie movie, and his film's vibes are not those of a George Roy Hill movie. With Marty Mauser, Chalamet puts his own stamp on that Safdie brand of overwhelming turbulence by combining the hectic intensity Al Pacino brought to roles like Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon with the charisma Paul Newman brought to Gondorf, his Depression-era grifter in The Sting. When he needs to talk his way out of a situation, he's pure Pacino. But when he needs to talk his way into something, he's all Newman. But some of the best writing and acting in Marty Supreme comes in the scenes where Chalamet code switches from Pacino to Newman mid-scene. As incredible as Chalamet is, he's also bolstered by a very talented supporting cast. Odessa Azion's Rachel is an absolute scene stealer, which is fitting because her character is just as conniving as her on-again, off-again boyfriend Marty. When she and Marty clash, she's a cunning foe, but she's at her best when she's scheming alongside him. Watching Rachel and Marty realize they can grift together to achieve a common goal creates some of the funniest, most dynamic moments of dialogue in the whole film. Meanwhile, Gwyneth Paltrow delivers a quietly stoic performance that provides a meditative contrast to Chalamet's overly confident Marty. As an aging actress married to a wealthy businessman, she plays Kay, with a subdued melancholy born from decades of disappointment after choosing a golden cage instead of gambling on a bigger career. There's an undercurrent to Kay's encounters with Marty. Each sees a possible version of themselves in the other that evokes a kind of Dickensian duality. In Kay, Marty sees a ghost of Christmas future. In Marty, Kay sees a ghost of Christmas past. Besides the thematic implications of their relationship, Kay still has beauty, status, wealth, and most importantly, access to her husband, all things Marty desperately wants. Which leads me to Kay's husband, Milton Rockland, played by Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary, who turns in a serviceable performance for a non-actor. That said, his general vibe translates surprisingly well from over a decade of villainy in the tank. To fans of the show, some of O'Leary's interactions with Marty will evoke the familiar vibes of desperate contestants trying to weasel just a bit more cash out of the Sharks. Honestly, Kevin O'Leary is pure stunt casting, and as a big fan of Shark Tank, I'm absolutely here for it. Then there's Wally, Marty's closest ping pong partner and occasional partner in crime, played by Tyler Okoma, better known as Tyler the Creator. They have a great chemistry together that seems to transcend the characters. It looks like the actors are having a blast on set, especially when they're hustling some marks at ping pong. But when things go south, Okoma's performance demonstrates an impressive amount of range. He's made a truly notable debut here. Nearly every performance in this film is top-notch, but nothing took me quite by surprise like the cameo from Abel Ferrara. You need to understand, I love movies about New York City scumbags. Everything from Goodfellas to Midnight Cowboy to, of course, Uncut Gems to Ferrara's own Bad Lieutenant. So, seeing the director show up made me quite giddy. Ferrara created some of 90's most enigmatic New York scumbags, and his supporting role as Ezra Mishkin, a probably mobbed up criminal, brings a heavy dose of chaos to the film. Marty Supreme marks the fourth writing collaboration between Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie. While not my favorite, it's their most refined and definitely has the most mainstream appeal. From a technical standpoint, it has exactly what I expect from a Safdie-directed screenplay. Relentless, expertly crafted tension in scenes full of what I'd now consider textbook constructions of Safdie-induced anxiety. But there's something new in this script which is key to its mainstream appeal. With Marty Supreme, Bronstein and Safdie figured out how to ratchet up stress without sacrificing the audience's empathy for the main character. Both Good Time and Uncut Gems follow that old mold. Desperate characters willing to lie, cheat, manipulate, and scam their way into achieving their goals. Marty Mauser is absolutely cut from the same cloth, but he's just way more sympathetic. While Chalamet's performance undoubtedly plays a part, Marty is still just a kid chasing a ridiculous dream, and his resolute transparency about his goals makes him kind of endearing. Things may go south for him, but it's that innate honesty, unlike Robert Pattinson's Connie in Good Time or Adam Sandler's Howard, that makes you want him to win. The risks he's taking, while increasingly absurd, are usually reactions to the chaos around him as opposed to consequences of self-destructive decisions. Marty Supreme may be a movie about ping pong, but its most memorable moments happen far from the table. This is a sports movie, so I don't think I'm spoiling too much by saying the third act centers around a climactic match. But where the film really gets your heart pumping, where Safdie-induced stressors from all of the quick cuts and cacophony of sound design really crescendo, is in Act 2. When you first walk out of the theater, there'll be scenes from the middle of the movie that you can't wait to discuss. That's not to say that the film doesn't stick the landing. It absolutely does. But Act 2 builds tension that's best compared to Wile E. Coyote running off a cliff but not falling until he realizes the ground has disappeared from underneath him. But instead of a few seconds of comedic timing, it takes over an hour for Marty to look down. All the while, stakes continue to build.
Have you ever thought about what you're doing to me?
As I've mentioned multiple times, I think Uncut Gems is a masterpiece. So, when the Safdie brothers announced their creative split, I was concerned. From a directing standpoint, it turns out that Josh Safdie might be the driving creative influence behind the brothers' previous films. People yelling and talking over each other, loud, uncomfortable, reoccurring noises that almost function as an unwelcome percussionist moving the scene along, rapid cuts between close-ups and handhelds and wide shots. All these techniques are put to great effect in Marty Supreme. But the table tennis scenes are shot in a distinctly different way, which makes them really stand out. Instead of the quick cuts and jarring juxtapositions of framing, the ping pong matches are covered in longer wides. That's great for two reasons. First, it shows just how good Timothée Chalamet got at ping pong. Yeah, he's playing against real-life pros who are working with him to make the play feel as complex as possible, but a ton of these volleys are genuine physical feats, and it shows incredible instinct on Safdie's part not to over-direct them. Also, before I forget, Koto Kawaguchi, who plays Marty's professional table tennis rival Koto Endo, does an incredible job at these matches, making it very clear he's the movie's pro player. However, he also does a great job portraying Endo as an enigmatic rival waiting for Marty if he can earn his way back into competition. Without a doubt, Marty Supreme is one of the best movies of the year. If I were Howard Ratner, I'd take the over on audiences liking Marty Supreme more than Uncut Gems and parlay that with a Best Actor statue for Chalamet. This movie owes a lot to Uncut Gems. I'm not trying to say Marty Supreme doesn't innovate, it does, but much of what works in Marty Supreme also worked in Uncut Gems. Both films are about a character figuring out how they win. To me, Marty Supreme and Uncut Gems will spawn many of their own Goodfellas casino debates in the future. Truth be told, it doesn't matter what side you take. We're all insanely lucky that all these films exist. Personally, I still prefer Uncut Gems. But I'm also aware that I might be in the minority. For most, Marty Supreme will triumph merely because Marty Mauser is a much more endearing character than Howard Ratner. Regardless, this film solidifies Josh Safdie as one of the most unique and exciting directors working in Hollywood right now, and Marty Supreme is easily one of the best movies of the year. That's why I'm giving Marty Supreme a 9. It's an amazing first solo directing credit for Josh Safdie that continues to build on the chaotic vibe that he and his brother have been honing since heaven knows what. If you're a fan of the previous Safdie Brothers efforts, you won't be disappointed. But thanks to a career-defining performance from Timothée Chalamet as Marty Mauser, Marty Supreme may appeal to more than just the film and sports bros out there. Equal parts fun and stressful, Marty Supreme combines the chaotic directing style of Josh Safdie with the charisma of Timothée Chalamet to make a one-of-a-kind ping pong movie that is, without a doubt, one of the year's best films. Thank you so much for watching my review of Marty Supreme. For all your movie and video game reviews, keep it locked right here to IGN.